Today we're travelling to the Northern Territory to sample barramundi fishing in the dry season. The real test is if we can catch them across very different environments, from the billabongs of Kakadu National Park to the harbour around Darwin, and finally in a totally artificial waterway.
What's up, Barramundi? What's up, Barra? The man is on fire. Yes.
Help.
See you, buddy.
This show is proudly brought to you by Mercury Marine, BCF, ARB, and Spotter's Sunglasses. I've travelled to the Northern Territory. It's dry season and an awesome time of the year to visit the world-renowned billabongs that you'll find in this part of Australia. These waterholes remain after the wet season floods subside, and trapped in these thriving ecosystems, you'll find abundant fish, bird and reptile life. Some of the most impressive billabongs can be found in Kakadu National Park. I've joined with 3 other anglers. With a couple of cars and boats in tow, we're heading off to a place I've never yet seen. Another adventure to the Northern Territory has begun with the obligatory midnight landing in Darwin, 2 hours of sleep, and then we are on the road and we're going to one of the really special parts of Australia known as Kakadu National Park. And there's a very good reason that we're going. We've gathered a small fishing trip. We're going to be camping around landlocked waters, and we want to go to those landlocked waters because we want to run a few scientific experiments on one of our favourite native fish, the barramundi. It's all to do with how do they feed between night and day, and also around that full moon. I'm joined on this adventure by good mate Tynan, his partner Leela, and part-time fishing guide Jack. The plan is to leave the highway and take on the sometimes rough track towards 2 and 4 mile billabongs in Kakadu. And it doesn't take long for the road to take its toll. A quick repair job and we're back on track, and not long after, pulling up on the banks of a billabong. To camp in these parts, you've got to be a good 100 metres away from the water for pretty obvious reasons. There's pretty big bodies that live in these parts. We do want to be in a spot though where we can have our boats not too far away from the campsite. So Tynan's going to find a place to leave the boats and we'll hopefully camp just up there. Heading east from Darwin, you'll first hit the Mary River system and its billabongs, beautiful waterways like corroboree. Approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes from Darwin, you'll hit Kakadu National Park, where you can gain access to systems like the West and South Alligator Rivers and their associated backwater billabongs. Before entering the park, make sure you know and understand the rules and regulations for using this culturally sensitive area. We find a suitable place to camp and begin to unpack and lay out our campsite. Then it's time to head up the billabong and find a place to launch our boats. This means a spot where we can get the trailers in without getting too close to croc striking range. We'll go and drive these boats up to where our camp is now. Tynan and Leela will drive the cars around, and then it's time to get the gear ready, go fishing. It's time now to test a few fishy theories, and Leela, Tynan and I jump on board one boat while Jack settles in to the other tinny. It's dry season now, and being that the fish here are landlocked, we can use them to experiment on their feeding behaviours. And one aspect we really want to get out of this trip is we know these fish can't go anywhere because they're stuck here until the floods come. We really want to see how they respond between day and night, and also being that we've got a full moon coming up and we're going to fish into the night and just see how the activity levels change. Because based on previous fishing in these parts, Leela and Tynan believe the smaller fish will feed during the day and the bigger models will come out to hunt during the night. We've seen a lot of small bait profile stuff flicking around, and being that it's one of the most exciting ways to catch a barramundi, we're going to start on the surface. If that doesn't work, head deeper. I reckon this is the one that will get the job done.
Righto guys, I reckon we'll start on this bank here. Got a little bit of company, there's a crocodile along the other side, but we'll just work along here, surface lures, see how we go.
It's so easy to get distracted from the fishing here, with the majestic bird life on offer and the big lizards lazing on every corner.
Oh, straight away.
It's tarpon.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Straight on you. Oh, Leela.
Yeah, on the top.
There we go.
Fish everywhere.
That's that. Oh, yes.
Yoo. Very cool.
I'd go you, Leela. Now you got this retrieve, you picked your lure straight away, and Tynan did say something about luck having nothing to do with it, because I reckon good anglers know very quickly what colours are going to work on any given day. So you've gone for a bright one, water's slightly murky, it's doing the job. How are you working that?
Pretty much just a bit of slack line, jig, jig, jig. And so it's going to hit to follow ups, no hits, and that one I just pulled it a bit tighter, pulled it underwater, and he hooked up.
And Tynan's doing the job in the background.
And he is.
We found a pack.
So while these guys are playing around at the front, I just happened to see a school of 6 barra. This one might have been about the smallest one, just swimming past nice and leisurely, but I had to stay quiet. And here's another little barra, little weedless rubber doing the trick. So good to see so many of these around. Healthy system.
Oh, there. Oh, he's there. Oh, yes. Oh, there he is.
Wow.
Here he is. Look at this. Oh, yes. Nice work, Tynan.
Oh, that is so much fun watching that happen. See you, buddy.
Go, Leela. Oh, nice fish. Oh. There you go.
Better?
Cool.
I'll switch yours. That is a better one, Leela.
Thank you.
Nice
Yeah,
work,
so quite
Leela. Nice work.
Got him?
There's a double. And there's a double.
Oh, this is awesome. So one of the reasons we've come out here is typically this time of year, you don't think of barramundi up here. It's the dry season, it gets cold, but we've got this option in the billabongs. There's so many of these little fish, and we're in the middle of the day. Fish are buffing their heads off, and we're having a cracker little session. So, I mean, who says you can't go barra fishing in the dry season in Darwin?
Yeah, kind of, we are, aren't we? This fish is well and truly a juvenile, and you can see that why they're so good at hunting up here with those eyes close together. That's a big mouth for a fish that size, and he's come out of a spawning down towards the brackish and the saltwater parts of the system, which is way down that way, and then in the floods he's run up here as a really, really small fish around that sort of 2 to 4 centimetre size, and he's grown up here to an adult, and then with an adult group and another set of floods he'll wander back down to the salt to spawn. But they're very, very good, going from this size to a lot bigger really quickly. Oh, there he is. No, here's a good one too. This is exciting stuff. At the moment we're using, call it weedless plastic. That hook sits deep in it. It allows you to cast it right into that dense weed and just wiggle it out. Just let the tail do its thing. And these fish are just waiting for something like that. Got him. Oh, there. Oh, wow. How good is this? Oh,
And he does it.
yes.
Just so you know, typically barra are quieter this time of year.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see them when they're really on their go. Have a look at them.
Very cool.
Now these fish, obviously stacked up in numbers, they're picking prime ambush spots, so they're sitting underneath all of that weed, and they're just waiting for any of these little bait fish to venture into their space, and then it's see you later. Oh, there he is.
Fisher Cast Webster is here.
They are just sitting on that weed bed. If you can just wiggle that plastic into the zone, it's on. Gives you an idea the type of structure these guys are hanging around. I've brought a little bit back with me. But then you're right, these fish are well and truly on the chew. Like we've got a full moon coming tomorrow night. Now at the moment it's underneath us, and you often hear about anglers talking about moon underneath.
Yep.
You know, being a very active stage for fish. So these guys are probably making the most of that little activity period that they've got going. They're pretty safe here at the moment. Come night time though, and they're going to get a little bit more subdued because the bigger models we're thinking will come out to hunt.
The smaller barramundi are feeding in full force, and we decide to push along to see if there are any bigger ones holding in other areas.
Oh, got that time. We're running another little experiment at the moment. Just going, there wouldn't be as many crustaceans in here as in prawns compared to the amount of bait floating around, but I thought I'll stick a prawn on with the theory that everything eats it, and I reckon it's just such a cool little weedless plastic to lob into those dense bits of weed. All I'm doing is just wiggling that prawn over the edge of those weed beds, giving it a hop, and they're loving it.
These smaller fish are ravenous in the midday warmth and are setting upon any lure that comes near their ambush positions. These fish hold around structure and spend a lot of time looking up to see where their next feed is coming from. Sometimes the key is casting across overhanging structure and dapping a lure on the top to attract the attention of one of these smaller hunters.
This technique known as teabagging is a very cool way to tease and catch a fish. Ooh, better. Loving the prawns, slow rolling prawns. It's very technical retrieve, the slow roll. It's been a while to master it, just means throw it out, let it sink and just wind it back. And when they bite in like this, they'll probably eat it. Pushing our way into the far corner of the billabong, we quickly see that we are invading a big croc's territory. This reptile is keen to protect its ground and typifies the attitude of animals in this waterway. They'll aggressively set on any intruder that wanders into their space.
As you just saw, there's a bit of chaos there with the crocodile. And what we saw was that big croc chasing off heaps of other big crocs, which means this is his corner. Yes, there's Barra here, but he's just gone under, moving back towards us, and it's a pretty good time for us to get out of here.
That's a crazy couple of hours. That is insane. To come to a place like this and see so many barramundi through the day, crocs, that's a very, very neat experience.
Yes, and the prawn wins!
Poling barramundi. Just getting to see how they respond to the twitch. It shows you the importance of a little bit of vibration. What's really getting those fish tuned is the fact that that lure is dropping and hopping, dropping and hopping. And just having a braided line that lets you have direct contact to that lure and just give it that tiny little tap. That's so often what these fish will tune into. You can see that lateral line they've got running down them. That is there to pick up vibration. The moment they pick up on that vibration, they hone in on it, and then that big bucket mouth comes into play. And there's another. Oh,
Oh, one's off.
look at how dark this one is.
Wow. Oh, that's a better Barra.
Gee, the old dabbing technique. It's a better fish. It's a better one.
Oh, wicked.
Nice. Great way to finish a couple of hours, mate, in the billabong.
What we were just saying, I think it's 70 before lunch, and that's a cracker to end it. Wicked.
Just getting that lure in the right spot, and it just sunk it down there. I think Leila might have teased it up for me. Capitalised. We'll let this one go, and then it might be time for a little campfire lunch. You all right?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. I could not have anticipated to find so many juvenile active barramundi here. We caught a cricket scorecard number of them before lunch, and now we get to retire to a well-earned campfire feed before we gear up for the evening session. Sun's starting to drop now in the afternoon. Animals are coming down to check out the waterhole, and makes it a great time for us to go and change tack to maybe head up this billabong a bit further and do some trolling, and maybe start looking for those bigger fish that we're hoping are going to rock up as this light gets lower. Plan now is to go and start doing a little bit of casting towards the banks and maybe mixed up with a bit of trolling, but our lure choice is going to change a little bit as well. We'll go for a few larger looking options, shallow diving to medium diving, maybe a few weedless paddle tail soft plastics, and see if we can pull a few tricks.
Okay, so we've just come across this bank here. There's a bit of heavy timber, nice and deep. It's 3 meters of water, and I've just marked a couple of good fish straight away. So we're just going to cruise along, cast our way, hook a few fish, and show you this afternoon beautiful light.
As the light fades, the wildlife begins to get active. A small brown snake visits the boat, and then so too do a few more juvenile barramundi that have fallen for our lures. But we know there's a spot here where there'll be a few bigger ones holding up. We are on the move. Sun is getting lower in the sky. It's time to try and find some big ones. There's a lot of water to cover here, and another move produces still more juvenile barramundi. But the sun is now getting ready to set, and you can't help but feel there's a bigger fish or two getting ready to feed around here. I'll just let roll it. We've got the smallest fish on the stick, I reckon. It's a top one. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice one, Leela. It's a bit of a better one.
Woo! That's all we're talking about.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, good fish. Well done.
Something cool we can look at between two different species of fish which grow up in the fresh, and it's just how well developed they are to eat a range of different types of food, both terrestrial and fishy stuff. You know, they can upturn mouth on this one, really good at eating insects and stuff like that. These guys are almost similar, but then they develop that bigger bucket mouth as they get obviously a lot bigger than our tarpon. They're going to start eating our bait fish and the like, but very well designed for living in these parts. My tarpon's about to go back, and you're leading the way at the moment, Leela.
Oh, pressure's on.
So Leela, you get up any time, day or night, when you're not working, and you go and chase these animals. What drives you to do it?
Just they're different everywhere you go. You know, you think you've got it sussed, and then next day they don't bite, and it's just a constant challenge, and so rewarding when you get a good barra as well, and you try things out and nut it out, and then you get results. It's just all worth it.
There's the reward, and they jump and pull hard as well.
Oh,
what a
they do that
bonus.
too.
We'll let that one go and see if we can catch another one. That had some go in it. You tell straight away it was a better one. Well done. You got the colours worked out today, I reckon. Without fail, you've got a contrast happening. Leela has the pattern worked out. They're getting bigger. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come. We are treated to a typical, beautiful territory sunset. The moon rises and Jack shows us there are a few bigger fish starting to play the game, just not in our boat. Tomorrow night, we'll see the rise of a full moon, followed by a lunar eclipse, which could make for some interesting fishing. But for now, the bite has slowed, and as it gets darker, fatigue starts to set into this boat of ours. I think now, the crew has said it's definitely time for dinner. There's been comments of people getting hangry. We don't want that. We'll go and light a fire, get some dinner happening, and then maybe come back a bit later on. There are a few more satisfying parts of getting outdoors than to light a fire and cook over it following a solid day on the water. We eat dinner and then contemplate whether to hit the water again or head to bed for a well-needed rest. It's a feeling in England nose to wake up. Sound of mozzies, still covered in last night's mozzie spray. We didn't have the energy to get out again last night. It was too big a day yesterday, but I think tonight with that lunar eclipse coming, we'll work our way through the day and way into the night. But first light, I think we'll go and see if there's a chance maybe there's a bigger fish just as a new day starts. And see how the other crew fared tonight. Oh. The rest has done us the world of good, and we now have a renewed energy to attack whatever this day and ensuing night will throw our way. Early on, the plan is to head to the far end of the billabong to see what the fishing here will hold. The plan right now is to head to where young Jack got a few good ones last night and see if we can pin a bigger fish. Word on the street around the campsite was a couple of big ones were caught last night, a couple of 70s and an 86. So there's definitely a few bigger ones here, and they were feeding last night. And if we'd had the energy, who knows, we might have been holding one up. But it comes down to this morning today, and then all about tonight with that lunar eclipse. Lines are quickly rigged, and with anticipation, we are back in the game. And it doesn't take long.
Oh, there's one. Nice.
Leela to open the account. Go you.
Here she is. I like how many fish she catch.
What an awesome fish. Sunrise on a territory billabong. Chances of a big barra somewhere today. And that's a pretty good way to start it, Leela.
I'm pretty happy with that, mate.
Let that one go. I reckon we'll catch another one.
Top water.
Roll.
Isn't
it? So that Pyra, this is brand new, this lure. I saw it at a trade show only a couple of days ago, and I went, that thing is going to have to work on barramundis. And I'm not supposed to actually have it. The boy said we kind of need it as a prototype, but I stole it, because that's what good anglers do. They steal things that are pretty. And I'm glad I did, because look at that. That's a better size fish. That's a better one. That's the one, Leela. That's the one. I saw that crunch, Leela.
Well done.
Yes, Leela.
Yes. Killing it. Look at that. A cracker of a fish. Little fat Betty is killing it. Not you, honey, the lure.
Oh, yeah.
Thought I was going to get hit then. She is smoking us the biggest fish. This is her, oh, this is your second good one this morning, third good one, and yesterday you were smoking us as well. So, Nige, we've got a little bit of catching up to do, I believe.
Yes, we do. Leela has kicked us into action and we start getting a few points for the boys, albeit they a little smaller than the models that Leela is putting into the boat. There seems no end to the number of barramundi in this billabong, and we're having so much fun playing with and learning about these stacked up juvenile fish.
Come on, so sucked it in. Look at him go. How good's that? Oh yes, that's a jump. You got some hang time then. Oh, there you go. There's a reason this lure is working so well. There's a reason Tynan's had a few bites of a few casts on it. It's just got a great bait fish profile. It's got a really weird bib angle, which is just kind of what caught my eye when I was looking at it in this trade show the other day. What it does is it only dives this far beneath the surface, but it's got a real blooping little action and a big side to side swagger about it. So it gives that same bloop you hear when you're out there at night and you hear mullet and the like skipping beneath the surface, and that big side-to-side action lets a fish know that it's out of sorts, and I think that's where the instinctive kill reaction comes from. It's a very, very cool thing to throw around. There's one. That's pinned him. There we go. And I think on that note, Tynan's hungry, Leela needs a coffee, breakfast time, little rest, and back for some more action.
The beauty of this billabong fishing is that camp is never far away, and it's easy to pull up from the action and head back for a quick breakfast and coffee.
So easy to see why many people come here to experience this part of the world, and this is the time of the year to do it. It's winter, it's dry season, easier to travel, and you can perch yourself in a couple of hours drive from Darwin on the sides of a billabong, go barramundi fishing and just take in the sights of the territory. This has to be something that's got to be on everyone's bucket list.
So just put back in, gonna go for a quick flick, just make the most of the end of the morning session. We'll go flick some smaller stuff around those lilies, try and see if we can get the action like we did yesterday. And then it'll be back in the swags, get a bit of a kip, because tonight we have the full moon, the lunar eclipse, and it all comes down to tonight, trying to get that big girl at night time. And I'm a little bit excited about that, so I'm definitely gonna need my afternoon nap. So yeah, well, let's go get into it.
This session gives us a great opportunity to trial some new lures, knowing that there are plenty of smaller barramundi lining up to have a crack at them. It's times like these, just watching fish stalk and engulf lures, that you learn so much about how they behave and eat prey. It also helps connect the sensation of a bite along a fishing rod with what's actually happening at the other end of a line.
Yes. She doesn't get old. You can still do that all day and not get tired of that.
Exploring this cut-off waterway makes you wonder what it's like during the floods and gets you thinking about why these water pockets are even here.
Australia's billabongs are unique, and they've got a lot to do with the age of this continent. It's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, on the planet. And a billabong is effectively a cut-off corner of a river. And to cut off such big corners as we see in our billabongs in Australia, it has a lot to do with the age of our river systems. They create massive meanders, big corners, and in flood times they get cut off. And that's why you see such huge billabongs, particularly up here in this really wet part of the country. Time for a little nan and hat before the night session. In these parts, you've got to be 100 metres away from the water, just so you don't tease one of these big crocs into wondering if you can get an easy snack while you sleep. See you when it's dark.
A dark billabong completely changes the complexion of our fishing. The sounds of the billabong at night let you know there's different creatures about, and our sounder and GPS are the only ways of knowing exactly where we are.
Now the real test begins. It's the night of the full moon. See if we can catch one of these big freshwater barramundi. Yes, Leela.
Good barra. Yes. Well done. Good fish.
Where are we? Oh, Leela. Hang on.
Where are you, mate?
Oh, he's ready.
Come on.
Yo. Where is it?
Go on.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
That was good of me to throw it off for you.
Thank you.
Bugger.
What happened?
Choked me up.
It rubbed it off.
Yeah.
I might be sacked on net duty.
Leela expertly reties a leader in the dark, while I try to forget my dismal net efforts that have cost us a solid fish.
Nice, Leila.
Excellent. Here she goes.
You get the net this
Nigel,
time,
stay
Ty.
away.
I'll get
Sacked.
nice.
Fish.
Oh, he's all right. It's a barra. It's our first one in the boat for the night.
Yes.
Wicked. So we've just got a couple of good bites, and the last 20 minutes it's really picked up. So the bite's starting. Hopefully this is the start of a lot bigger things to come. We'll get it back in and keep rolling with it. Yes.
He just
nice.
rolled onto that, Ton. He just rolled onto that.
Wicked.
I pushed Leila out of her seat. It was the hot seat. Sorry, Leila. He's not bad,
Oh, he's not a bad fish.
Not a bad fish, mate.
Oh. Yes!
Now that is a sensational net shot. I thought he'd actually fallen off, but he just threw the blackie up the line.
Oh, look. Good fish. Wow. It's starting to happen now.
And that moon, we talked about before the power of moon overhead. You know, like, I'm not a scientist, but I do subscribe to some of their theories because they spend a lot of time looking at data, and they've got this big thing about moon underneath us and moon overhead, and that full moon is just starting to get to that overhead position. And Leila's had a couple of bites. You've had a bite.
Yep.
And the fish are getting bigger and they're getting in the boat.
There it is. Yes.
Look at that.
Sure. Good fish.
This is what we waited for all day, this potential to come out in the billabong and play with the bigger ones. And there's this theory, like you guys subscribe to it all the time as well, is that in the daytime those smaller fish are happy to play, but at night time these guys that have been shy in the day, they'll come out to play, and under a big full moon with an eclipse coming, they could just be getting active.
So when one lure is working and we're out here, we've been trying a few different things tonight, and Nigel's just got 3 good bites and converted one of those, so you're crazy not to change over. Now what he's running is one of these little flat shads, but adding the treble to it, they give you that little option on this one, just because we're trolling, and when the fish hit it, they're not getting that chance every time to open that hook up. So chuck the treble on there, and I'm gonna copy Nige on this one and hopefully join this barrel landing little party. Righto, back into it.
It's on the other side of the boat. Pull him out.
Good fish. Oh, yes. Fish. Now, the bite has just picked right up. That is the biggest fish so far. They've just been getting bigger. And in the last half hour, we've had 7, 8 bites, landed a couple of fish. It's good.
Little fella. But it's a barra. A Barramundi.
About to come up. Oh, that's a bit better.
It's actually a bit better.
Very cool. It's coming up. It's coming up.
Yes. Help. I'm so happy that wasn't me. That's all I can say. All we can do is laugh at the moment. That's what happens when you're angled to a standstill. We're a little bit fatigued.
I decide to let the dust settle after another lost fish at the net by just giving Tynan and Leela a little space.
How hard did it hit?
I heard the big through your line.
Clunk.
And then next minute, I reckon that's a good nightcap. Good way to finish.
On that note, our billabong Barramundi sessions have come to an end. I think we have proved quite a lot, but during around the full moon, those small fish in their competitive nature are very active through the day, particularly in the middle of the day. And then as it gets darker, the bigger models have come out to feed.
Yeah, those smaller bite windows and
Moon overhead, a big full moon at night, and the billabongs certainly makes for some active barramundi, and particularly some of the bigger ones. I think, mate, on that note, Leela's had enough. I've had enough. Let's go to bed and get ready for the journey home back to Darwin tomorrow.
done.
Thank you, Leela.
Good couple of days.
Let's let this one go and get out of here.
At 4 a.m. in the morning, after a solid night session, we are happy with our experiment, but a little shattered and well in need of a rest. Night sessions with the local crocs need to be treated with extra care. And it's this reason that Kakadu management discourage after dark water activities and the use of car topper sized boats. The new day brings a time to pack up camp and get back on the road, as Jack and Leela have work to go to, while Tynan and I have another adventure to plan as this whirlwind stage of the trip comes to an end.
Barramundi are a durable species and widespread in these parts, and I want to see them in a few vastly different environments while I'm up here. To prepare for the next stage of this trip and the surrounding waters, I pick up a few supplies from the nearest tackle store. Then it's off to a boat ramp in the middle of Darwin. Having now seen barramundi in the far fresh waters of the billabongs, I want to see them at the other end of the spectrum, the salt waters of the city. To help us out, we are joined by guide Carl for a fishing trip close to the CBD.
I love learning about the life cycle of bimodal fish like the barramundi. You can catch them from the freshwater floodplains all the way to the salt water, but I've never chased them in a city setting. And today, we're here in Darwin. Tyne and I have hooked up with local gun Carl to see if we can learn a bit about how these urban barramundi behave. And mate, pressure's on. We're giving you 2 hours and we want to catch a crab.
No pressure.
No pressure, love it. Let's go fishing.
Larger than Sydney's waterway, the Darwin Harbour supports the CBD and a thriving ecosystem that is fringed with mangroves, which are home to plenty of crabs, barra and myriad other species.
While we're waiting for the tide to get the right stage to go and hit some barramundi, we're going to check the crab pots and find out what we might be having for dinner.
Oh yeah!
Guess what Tyne and Nigel are having for dinner?
Ringy, you've done it, mate. Have a look at these.
Carl is an expert at tying up crabs, and he ever so quickly shows us how to demobilise those dangerous claws.
Part A of the equation already under control. Very nice.
Very cool.
We check the rest of the crab pots and find that we caught crabs in most of them. We've easily pulled a great feed for ourselves and Carl, but it's now time to head on to the task of catching barramundi. The aim is to find areas where the falling tide will flush them out of the mangroves and into the harbour, and we have to be on those spots at precisely the right time.
Just to remind you that crocs are everywhere you go in the territory. This is obviously in the harbour and there's a big system in place to remove crocs from here to obviously make it safer for humans. Tyna's telling me they remove about 180 to 200 a year. Situation is?
We've got an outgoing tide, pretty big tide today, so this water is going to drop out of here real quick, so we haven't got too much time. We'll hopefully pick one up here and then leave before we get stuck.
Righto, and they move a lot here, so the pressure's right on.
Yep.
Game face. What do we got, Ringer? Clinic. Not the barra we're after, but hey, amuse yourselves with these any day of the week.
How good does that look in the water? Wow.
Yes,
You.
we have a fish. Oh yeah, where there's bait, there's predators. Hopefully this is the lead up to some barramundis. That's a barramundi.
What's up, Barra?
That's the way.
Oh yeah.
Fully
That's
airborne.
awesome.
Yes.
Ooh, ringer.
We have a barramundi. Have a look at that. We have City of Darwin straight through the sunlight and casting my eyes on the first barramundi I've seen come out of here, mate. That's it's a special experience.
I've been watching Carl fish, and the key to these barra seems to be actively twitching shallow diving hard-bodied lures in very little water. The key is to keep the rod tip high and expect a bite at any time.
Oh, wicked. Right at our
8
feet.
feet. Yes.
Oh, that was cool.
Nice work. Well done, mate. A cool critter. Cool critter.
Right, nice blue salmon. These things, you get them with the barra, all through the flats here.
Yeah.
They're feeding on jelly prawns, and these things will feed with barra. There won't be just one of them there, there'll be
Fair
big
few.
school. They'll just come up and down this blade here.
I dead set love these animals. They're just
Yeah.
such a cool design. They
They
like
are.
to find, just prickle around, find their food.
Yep.
Big mouth, suck them in.
They
Got
got
that
it.
little hoover happening.
They got a pretty good fight about them too.
All right, we'll get this one back.
Good fun.
And it's
Perfect.
barramundi.
Right, this creek here today, with this tide, will completely dry, so every fish is going to come out of it, or has to come out of it. So we'll sit on this side of the corner and just wait for them to come out pretty well.
Ringer.
That's the way, Ringer.
Very cool.
That was in no water.
Nah.
That is in nothing. I reckon as it hit its tail came up. Yes. Work ringer.
Beautiful little harbour barra.
Awesome. Just tucked right up there in no water.
Yep.
That much, I reckon. Lucky we couldn't see his dorsal
That's
fin.
right, you would have been on the side.
Work ringer.
The tide is now falling fast, and apart from Carl catching barramundi, Tynan and I need to get our game together and start contributing.
Ringer!
Ringer!
The man is on fire!
He is.
We're 3-0 here, Nigel.
We're getting down.
Oh, we did say he's the harbour guru, and it's not just putting people on the fish.
Well done, Ringer. You've been showing us how it's done in your home paddock. The city skyline in the background. It's been an intriguing little session, just getting up into the shallows. I'd like to have seen how shallow these things are feeding. I wouldn't believe you if you told me, but see them up on their side there, and you've well and truly got them worked out. Tyne and I got a little bit of work to do yet. There's one.
Nice.
Let me crunch it. Yes, we go. Oh, yes.
Nice, Nige.
I cracked it. Cracked the donut. The first Darwin harbour barramundi. Oh, spectacular looking fish. Aren't they chrome yellow
He's got
tailed? Well, I'm surely the saltwater category. Come on, mate. Here we go. Let's have a look at you.
He's got that yellow tail on him, doesn't he?
Look at that.
There is your typical Darwin harbour
And he
barramundi.
ate that in absolutely no water, and he belted it. Always very cool coming to somewhere new and catching your first fish there. Never forget that first one.
The added attraction to barra fishing anywhere in the territory is the potential for catching one of the $1 million tagged fish, which could just make you a whole lot of money while having a whole lot of fun. I've been impressed with how easily we caught barra and crabs so close to a major city centre, and a little local knowledge certainly helped us get the job done. If you want to fish around Darwin, then Carl is definitely worth looking up. But now my attention turns to the last stages of my trip north, to a unique and completely artificial barramundi fishery.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, it's a good spot, Nige.
Wow.
Yeah, mate.
You said you had a surprise in store for me. Well, now we have targeted barramundi in the fresh, in the wilderness of Kakadu. We've targeted them in the salt.
In the city of Darwin.
Absolutely. And now we've come to a man-made system where, should it be too hard for you to catch a barramundi in those other spots, you can just come here and catch a barramundi with a bar in the background. You can eat the fish out of here. And Leela's now finished work. She's apparently waiting for us. She wants mud crab. I want to catch another barramundi and bring this adventure to a close. Shall we do it?
Crab.
Could there be a better place to finish a territory adventure than a place with a fish available a cast distance from the bar and back deck? If a relaxed and shore-based barra session is your dream, then this is the place.
This is an amazing setting. So talk us through how like the idea, how does this work?
Yeah, well, what we wanted to do is just try and make barra fishing easy for people and friendly and sort of safe for the kids and that sort of stuff. So we came up with this idea, and yeah, here we are. Built this nice little venue. Load this up with about 600 barra in here in the moment, predominantly our bigger ones. Our plan is to load up to about 1,500.
Yep.
So our bigger ones now, they're getting up to about 80 centimetres. In saying that, we've got 4 meteries in here. We just put them in the other day, so we're waiting for some little kid to hook onto that. Should be good.
These dams are fed with salt water from the nearby river and are home to plenty of live food for the stocked barramundi. The fish are easy to catch, and we are having too much fun when Tynan lifts the bar and catches a very special stocked fish, a solid mangrove jack.
Our territory adventure has come to an end, and it has been outstanding as always. The great news is this couple will be getting hitched in this very spot in the not too distant future. Well, that's if there's not too many more fish lost to the net between now and then. So good luck from us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I'll see you on the water somewhere else very soon.
Another territory adventure with good mates comes to an end, and with it fond memories and plenty of lessons. The biggest learning has been the ability to catch fish like the barramundi across many different environments. In Australia, we do have hardy fish. The key to keeping them that way is, as always, to look after the quality and general health of our waterways. For details on all the equipment we used in today's show, head to our website afn.com.au, follow the links to the fishing show, and we'll tell you exactly what we used. And to stay up to date with our latest adventures, head to our Facebook page, AFN Fishing and Outdoors, and you'll find out exactly where we are and when.
It's Bill Klassen here from The Fishing Show, and if you like this instructional video and want to learn more, it's simple. Go to fishingshowtv.com.au and see a whole host of additional videos.